Hello, everyone, and welcome to the cloudLibrary webinar. Today we are doing a presentation for the Mid-Michigan Library League. Just to give you an idea of what we want to cover today, we'll go over some introductions of myself and then Dustin Lamb, who is on the call as well. Just cover some of the design principles of the cloudLibrary and why we came to the market, what we're seeing out there with some of the industry trends. Go over some goals and objectives, and then also how we can help, and then open it up for questions at the end. I'm Brett Ward. I'm the cloudLibrary specialist. I cover the Midwest and the Southeast. I'm based out of St. Paul, Minnesota, and I have been with 3M and Bibliotheca for 3 years now. Just a little blurb about myself. I enjoy being in the outdoors. I can't get enough of it. And then, Dustin, if you would like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hi, Cheryl. Dustin Lamb, Business Development Manager for the Midwest, kind of the Great Lakes, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin. I've been with Bibliotheca a little over 5 years, and my 24th year as a vendor in the library community. Very fortunate to be able to work in this marketplace. I love it.
Thank you, Dustin. With the cloudLibrary, these are some of our key focuses in regards to working with our library partners. We're consistently trying to deliver the best user experience for public library patrons. That is the main reason why we came to market, is because there were other challenges with existing vendors in the ebook and audiobook market. It was difficult, so we brought the ease of use. We're always trying to help cross-promote the library services at every opportunity. Bibliotheca is in other areas of the library market with self-service or self-checks, hardware, automatic materials handling solutions, and also the digital platform. So we want all of these things to work with one another rather than having them siloed out. And we'll get into some of those things later on how we are changing that game. And then lastly, we have the support for consortia, and we're bringing new lending models into the ebook market. So we're always driving innovation for our customers. Getting into some of the industry trends, this is what we've seen in the past few years is you have 35% of Americans that are out there who are going to purchase ebooks from other vendors like Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You have then a large percentage that aren't even utilizing digital collections. And typically within the libraries, we see that about 5% of cardholders are actually using the digital services. So there's definitely a big gap out there that we're trying to help fill with our services. 64% of Americans aren't even aware that they can borrow ebooks at their public library. And that's a challenge that libraries face on a daily basis. No matter how much marketing efforts you're doing, you're still not reaching your patrons because they don't know about the services that you have going on. And with the cloudLibrary, we're trying to help cut that 64% down. Design principles of the cloudLibrary. We have an unrivaled customer service. Our team is there for you every step of the way. And that's one thing that the former 3M support had been known for with their customer service. We've now brought that into the Bibliotheca world since the merger that happened between the two companies a year and a half ago. Within our apps, we're always trying to make things easier, which in turn saves patrons time, but then also our customers being you, the library folks that are having to spend time with patrons, answering questions, responding to emails. With the cloudLibrary, the time spent having to do those things goes dramatically down because of how simple the app is. And then we are bringing to the table some of the best marketing and integration tools, whether it be at the self-checks, within the app featuring library's calendar of events, and a couple various other things that we'll get into. So what makes the cloudLibrary unique and worth investing in? We have our mobile apps. They're all native apps available on iOS, Android operating systems, Kindle Fire, and if you're an e-ink user, the Nook and Kobos. We also have web reading and e-audiobook streaming for the web patron app. Some other things that we were talking about, being able to help you connect with your community. Within the app, you can always add libraries' logos. You can have direct links to Twitter feed, library's website, as well as direct email to the library within the app. And then most importantly is the featured shelves, which we'll get into. Featured shelves are our way to directly put content right in front of patrons when they first log into the app. Just like you're doing in the physical library with those shelves right inside the door, you're doing this now on the digital side with our featured shelves. We've also rolled out with a Chromebook app lately. We're hearing from many of our libraries that they're partnering with their schools who are now moving to a Chromebook. So that is available if you have partnerships with the school. We are compatible with the Chromebook. And we also have e-audiobooks built in the app as well. You can stream or download to your devices, and then no matter what device you're on, using the cloudLibrary app, you're able to listen or read an e-audiobook. There's no question about having to choose which type of format or will this work on my device. If you have the app, it, whether you're reading or listening, it will work for you. Few simple steps just to get logged on. This is a one-time login process. Patrons have to go to their app stores and download the cloudLibrary app. Once they've opened up the app, they're going in and choosing their country. Then they're selecting the state, going and finding their library. All they have to do is enter their library ID or their barcode information. If the library does require a PIN, they would then also have to enter in their PIN number. They hit login now, they're brought right into the app. This is a 3-step process. You're going in, finding your country, state, and library. You're in. That's huge for folks that, they don't have to sign up with an email address. They're not having to remember passwords because it is that one-time login process. With the cloudLibrary, it does sync across devices, up to 6 different devices, all your titles, your reading position on those titles. We'll get into some patron customization where you can add favorites depending on your reading interests. Those sync as well as your bookmarks and your notes. And here's getting into that patron customization aspect. So within the browse area of our app, we do have the ability for patrons to dive down into the different subcategories that they enjoy reading. They can build up their lists, they can favorite them, and so next time they're coming into the app looking for a quick read, they can go right to that favorite spot because they know, hey, this is what I enjoy reading. And now we'll get into a demo of the cloudLibrary app, so we can just recap what we were talking about there and show you some of the other features within the app. So as you can see, I am on my iPad here. I'll show you the first time login process. I went to the App Store and downloaded the cloudLibrary app. So I'll go click on my app icon. All I have to do, as I said, choose your country. Selecting your state, so they would go down, choose Michigan. For the purposes of this demo, I'll be choosing the Central Library. And then I'll enter my library card information, my barcode, and I'll hit login now. That's it. Those 3 steps. As you first are brought into the app, you'll see on the bottom you can link your Twitter feed. That just slid away. So there's one more touch point for patrons that are in using the app. You can let them know what you have going on. You can always, besides linking your Twitter feed, add custom messages for specific date ranges, which is a feature on the back end of our shopping and buying tool. When you're first brought into the app, these are the featured shelves that I was talking about. These can be customized for any library that is using the cloud. Maybe you have a summer reading program going on. Here's your opportunity to highlight those titles right in front of patrons. You can scroll up or down. Once you've found a shelf that you want to explore, you can either scroll left or right to discover titles, or you can always do the See All, which brings you into a list view. Once you're in the list, you can then find titles. To get some information about a title, all you have to do is click on that. Up pops the background on the title. The green borrow button. This is a one-click process. I found a title that I want to enjoy. Okay, let's go ahead and click borrow. It brings me into the My Books area of the app, and it sets up the book. That was one click. Just borrow, brought me into there, automatically opened the book to start reading to. And the e-audiobook experience will be the same way, a one-click checkout to borrow. Once you're in the app, you have the features that you would expect out of a reading platform. Increase font size, you can change night mode, locked orientation, page curl. You can search the book for specific keywords, and then you always have the ability to see where you are throughout the progress of the book down at the bottom. And then you have the ability to add bookmarks and notes within the titles as well. So I'll pop back to the app. We'll go back to featured shelves. Within each shelf, too, patrons always have the ability to sort by various things. If they want to go by title, pub date, or recent additions, you know, if the library has added anything new, those will display first there. So that is the featured area of our app. We'll move on to the browsing area of our app. Within the app's first-time login process, you do see some prompts, or that blue box up there showing patrons about some of the things within the app, that is just once their first time login, those do go away. So within the browsing area, I do have my different categories: fiction, nonfiction, teens, and kids, with the breakout at top. You can always toggle by clicking on those different categories. So I've moved over to nonfiction here. Under each category, you can see that we have the subcategories, and some are in blue, which means they are highlighted on shelves down below here. And these are just some set templates that we have for patrons, but as I said before, this can be customized. So let me just go ahead and let's add design. So I just highlighted design in blue there. If I scroll down, the design shelf is now populated below. And you know, I'm not a huge business and economics fan, so I will click that subcategory above to take it away from blue. It just took out the business and economics shelf down below. Now, as we're coming into the summer season, I really enjoy cooking and grilling out. I'm going to favorite this section, so I just highlighted the cooking shelf in blue. On the top left-hand side of the categories, I now have my favorited cooking shelf, where I can come in and just grab a title quickly. So that is the customizable browsing experience for patrons. Move to the next area of the app, and that is the My Books. Again, we have a first-time prompt here for patrons. That was just telling folks about the flagged items, where they can flag a title for future reads. If they, maybe they've hit their 5 books checkout at a time limit, and they come across a 6th title, they could flag that, so once they finish reading one of their 5, they could go check out that next book. Here we have what we're currently reading, what we have on hold. Notice we also put the number of holds in days, so it's a tangible reference point for them. So next time I come in the app, I can see, oh, hey, great, this, I know that it's 9 days for when I'm going to be getting this title, not, 5 patrons ahead of me. You also have your history. This will show what you've read in the past. The libraries have the option to turn this on or off for their patrons. Patron privacy is obviously an important part to libraries, and we support that. So if a library wants to have that enabled or disabled, it is their choice. If you do enable it, you have the ability from a patron standpoint to delete your reading history. Here's the flagged items, and again, you can clear also your books of interest too. And then the last category is the return option. Once a patron's finished reading a title, if they go to this area, it's a one-click process to return the book. That is now back in the collection real time for the next patron to check out and borrow. It is not checked out the remainder of that patron's loan period. It goes back real time. Moving on, some of the settings. Within our mobile apps, we are now also creating a virtual library card for patrons. As libraries have self-checks in them, they can use this virtual library card, or even just at the circ desk. Hey, maybe you forgot your library card at home. You always have your phone with you, though, if you're one of those teens that are frequenting the library. they can just pull out their phone. They have their library barcode there for them. If a patron does want to sign up for email notifications, they can certainly do that. The only notification that they would be getting is for a hold title. And we're not using that email address to market or spam patrons. Some other settings that you have: the ability to download or stream over cellular data, or if you want it to be Wi-Fi, you have those restrictions there. Filters through the app. I'm only looking for ebooks. You can click that. Or if you want to see what's only available now in the library, you can do that. If the library wants to have suggestions turned on, that is a feature that you can enable on the back end of the shopping and buying tool, which will allow patrons to suggest titles to the library for future purchases. And then within the About section, here's where you can link back to your library's catalog, the support page, or that direct email at the library, and then of course the cloudLibrary website for some online help, should a patron need that. And then something new that we are doing is pulling events, library's calendar of events into the apps. You have digital users that maybe aren't coming into the brick and mortar as often as libraries would like, but you do have tons of great things going on, so we want them to know about it because they're not in your library seeing the marketing, looking at your TVs that you have promoting tonight's story time program going on. Well, now these digital folks have the ability to see what's going on in the library, and they can add it to their calendar. So that is the cloudLibrary there. Pop back to the presentation. One thing we are doing, as I said before, helping cross-promote the library services at every opportunity. The Events tab within the app is a prime example of that. We're also trying to help bring new users to the library. So for libraries that are using Circe and Polaris for their iOS, they can use their temporary patron registration feature to have that through the app. So obviously that's one of the barriers. If you don't have a library card, you cannot get into the app because that's what you need to sign on with. Well, now you can create a temporary card right from the iOS web form. Patrons would then have X amount of days to go on, use the cloudLibrary product. Once they've hit the number of days that the library is set, the goal would be for them to come into the library and get that library card. The events feature as well. When it comes to partners, we're currently partnered with Evanced, pulling Google Chrome calendars, and then also Bibliocommons. Virtual library card, as I showed you within the settings of the app, they always have that library card for them. And another thing that we are doing is we are driving digital circulation within your libraries at the self-checks. You have folks coming in, grabbing physical items, checking those out. Well, now they can also get digital recommendations at the kiosk, and they can actually check out digital content right from the Bibliotheca self-checks. So I'm a patron, come into the library, grab some titles, go up to the self-check, I'm checking them out, up pops You May Also Like on the right-hand side there. Oh, okay, I can click on that title, get some information about it, and then check it out. Now, if I was already a cloudLibrary user, it went right into my account. If I was new to e-products or the Cloud Library, it just created an account for me because I'm logged into the self-check on my barcode. One other way we're helping drive circulation for libraries is we've come up with our mobile iOS kiosk. With the iOS kiosk, this is the idea to get these discovery stations placed out within the community to drive awareness of your library and the services that you're offering. As we mentioned earlier before, 64% of your community doesn't know that your library offers ebooks, e-audiobooks. Well, why not let them know about it? Maybe they're waiting at a commuter train station, a bus stop, hospital waiting room. These are all some things that our current customers have been doing with the mobile kiosk. And then again, if you're using temporary patron registration, they would be able to sign up for a library card right at these kiosks. Seamless integration within our various other library vendors. And then within the Cloud Library, we're crafting unique experiences for our customers. One thing that we've been doing frequently is supporting consortia and bringing new lending models to the market and those consortia, and I'll get into those here. One of the new lending models that we are driving or bringing to the marketplace is a hybrid pay-per-use model. So within the Cloud Library, you can of course have your ownership content, which means you're purchasing those titles, but then also a pay-per-use model, which allows for simultaneous access, whereas ownership content is one copy per user. Going live next month, we'll have 19,000 e-audiobooks available for pay-per-use, and then later this summer, we are rolling out with our ebook pay-per-use catalog. So this is giving customers the best of both worlds, so to speak, where they can have their hot bestsellers, the new bestsellers within the ownership content that they can purchase, and then pay-per-use would allow for more backlist and unique content to fill the collection without that initial upfront collection development cost of having to purchase all those backlist titles. Libraries will have the ability to set monthly spend limits. So I only want to have X amount of dollars circulate per month. You can set that. If the library hits that limit, they then turn into, patrons finding titles can turn into holds on the pay-per-use content. The system isn't shutting down because you still have your ownership content that they can also discover. So there isn't that patron frustration of you've hit the limit, the system is not accessible. No, not the case. They still have all your ownership content that you have in place. Just to give you an idea, the average cert price on the e-audiobooks is about $2 per cert. One of our other lending models that we've been bringing to consortia is what we call the Cloud Link. And the Cloud Link feature reduces wait times by mirroring what most libraries are doing within the physical space when it comes to their ILL. No matter where the titles are coming from, we're delivering the ultimate user experience. This is a seamless tool that we've made on the back end, which allows these libraries that are linked with one another to share their digital content. Just to look at today's traditional consortium model, for example, the Up North Digital Collection is one big pool of content, and you have all the 45 member libraries accessing that content. You're running into high holds, and then patrons, because of that high hold, they're often turning to the retail markets to go and purchase the titles rather than wait in line. So, this is a model that was relevant in years past, but with the CloudLink, we're changing how the traditional consortium is made up. And I'll give you an example of that. Here we have a consortium content in the middle where all that same Up North digital content would live. But on the outside of that consortium pool, we have individual member libraries, or what we call private clouds, where libraries can purchase titles that are prioritized for their patrons. If they are available, then they can go out to the other member libraries. The consortium content is fair game for everyone to grab, with the black titles that move across the member libraries. But then you also have the gray titles, which are the private cloud titles. If they're available, other libraries can check out and borrow those titles through the browsing area of the app. From a patron standpoint, they do not know whether that title is their own library's copy or another member's library's copy. They just assume that it's their library's copy, even though it could be coming from a neighbor 3 counties over. And then with the CloudLink model, this does allow individual libraries to purchase protected titles. There's a few publishers out there that still do not sell to consortiums. They can purchase those in their private clouds, and those do not share, which are the red titles. Now, oftentimes you have libraries that are maybe the bigger library in the group and say, well, that won't benefit me. I have most of the content. That hasn't been the case. Where this whole model originated was in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis area with the MELSA group. MELSA, it's a buying group, and it's made up of the 7 surrounding county libraries and then St. Paul Public Library. And they have their own individual cloudLibrary collections. Well, once they got linked up, they noticed that most of their circulation was coming from the other libraries' private collections, which are the red titles up at the top. Whereas down in the bottom, you have the individual libraries' circulation on their collections. Now, this model can also be taken outside of the traditional consortium, as we had just given the example, but we can do standalone sharing for individual accounts. If Barrington Public Library wanted to bring on the cloudLibrary and then a couple others wanted to join as well, we could have them share seamlessly through the CloudLink model. The prioritization on your content means that folks from the other libraries cannot place holds on your content and vice versa. It is only if something is available in the collection can the other libraries find that title and check that out. When they do check out that title, now each library is just counted as circulation, whether it be the lending library or the borrowing library. Private clouds does give the libraries the ability to customize their patron-facing shelves, have their own library's branding visible, as well as ownership of the titles. So at the end of the day, if something were to go on with a group they still have the content that they've invested in to own. Here's an example of 4 libraries in the Illinois area that have done that exact model, which I just showed there with the standalone accounts, and they decided to link up and share their collections. They've seen tremendous growth after they've started sharing collections with one another. Moving on to some of the helpful resources and how Bibliotheca and the cloudLibrary can partner with you to drive the library's success. When it comes to collection development, we have a collection development team here that can do regular curated lists, whether it be on a library by library basis or for all of our customers that we send out a weekly collection development email. We're putting together things that relate to what's going on right now in the ebook market. Ebooks, e-audiobooks, we're highlighting the best of both those collections. Oftentimes we have libraries coming to us, hey, we're looking for some read-alike titles on what's popular right now. We'll go through, dive into their collection and create whether it be featured shelves or maybe they need to add some new content. We'll put together lists for them. At the same time, we've made our apps easy for patrons. The back end of the product within the content acquisition tool is also easy for collection development staff to get in there and manage the collection. We know folks are busy, oftentimes wearing different hats in the library. They're working on 5 different things at once. As I said, our team can go in and help do some of these things for you. Just let us know. We love to partner with our customers and help out in whatever way possible. Reporting, we have all the necessary reports for libraries. Especially with the consortia reports, you have the ability to drill down and see, okay, where are my titles going out? Who's borrowing my content? Or what are my patrons borrowing from the other libraries? You can dive into a granular level when it comes to that kind of information within all of our reports. And then something that we've been doing a lot of the past 2 years. In fact, the publishers have shared with us that we've done more content transfers than any other vendor on the market. It's a straightforward and easy process. Our team handles pretty much the whole process, besides we need the libraries to run their collection reports and send those over to us. That has to be done twice. As we actually follow the publisher's restrictions when it comes to if it's a metered content. We want to see how many checkouts it had in the system prior to it being transferred over. We'll make sure that it has that same amount when we move the titles or activate them within the cloudLibrary. And we have a bunch of references when it comes to, hey, what was this process like? Can you give me an idea of some of the patron feedback? I would be happy to share the customer experiences with you all. Both e-audiobooks and ebooks transfer into the cloudLibrary. And like I had said, we follow the publisher's restrictions. So if it has an expiring model or metered content, those also transfer. As we've seen with libraries, there's a reason why they're looking at other vendors out there. There's challenges with their existing product. We've brought the apps that your customers expect in the digital world. Things need to be easy, user-friendly. We're doing just that. We're bringing some drivers to the marketplace to help you promote your services and awareness of the products that you're offering within the library. And then efficient models to maximize the budget, like the pay-per-use, ownership, hybrid model that we're rolling live with, as well as the cloud link for consortia, which brings many advantages of lowering holds ratios and increasing circulation there. I want to thank you for your time today. You know, it would be great to sit down with the member libraries or come out and do a full presentation so we can look at what works for the library when it comes to a customized package and working with your budget to fit your needs. My contact information for everyone: you can email me or give me a call on my cell phone. Feel free to reach out whenever. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you all.